The transport ship hissed like a wounded beast, its ramp grinding open with the shriek of ungreased metal. Steam coiled around the figures forced out into the moonlit jungle clearing. The air was wet, dense with spores, heat, and the scent of rotting foliage. Above them, a swollen blood-red moon hung low over the canopy like a watching eye. 7 prisoners stumbled from the cage: a lizard-skinned Aska, 2 insected Krillians, a trembling feline Zanari, and 3 humans. Only one stood still. He didn't react to the sudden brightness or the strange terrain. The others scanned the treeline, fear clinging to them like sweat. He simply waited. The silent one. Tall, lean, barefooted. Dried blood streaked one temple. His wrists were scarred where restraints had once cut deep. His clothes, standard prison garb, hung loose over a body that hadn't seen comfort in months. No nameplate. No ID. Just a faded black mark on the side of his neck, almost like a tattoo, mostly hidden under tangled strands of dark hair. Above the clearing, a sleek hover platform floated into view. Its underbelly shimmered with force fields and high-lux viewing windows. Inside stood Lord Varkesh Drouth, draped in ceremonial hunter's robes, ringed by nobles with jeweled claws and elongated skulls. "Observe," Varkesh announced to the gallery, voice dripping contempt. "The Terran refuses to beg." Again. Laughter rippled across the platform. One noble clapped mockingly. Another sniffed. "Mute or mindless?" "He's human," Varkesh replied. "So likely both." The prisoner didn't flinch. Instead, he took one quiet step forward and let his gaze sweep across the treeline. The others scattered, each choosing their own direction, desperate to put distance between themselves and the open. He remained. Varkesh leaned in. "Why won't he run? Perhaps he doesn't understand he's prey." "Then educate him." A hunter drone launched from the platform, descending with a mechanical whine. It hovered 10 meters above the ground, cylindrical body shimmering with armaments. A long plasma prod extended, crackling. It zipped toward the prisoner's back. The human turned slightly, just enough to sidestep the jab, letting it graze the cloth of his shirt. The drone adjusted. He moved again, smooth, no panic, no wasted motion. Then he stopped entirely. The drone hovered uncertainly. Its behavior routine stalled between protocol layers. This wasn't resistance. This wasn't flight. It was calculation. "Enough," Varkesh snapped. "Call the drone back." "But," I said, "enough." The drone retracted. The nobles shifted, watching more intently now. On the ground, the prisoner raised his head slightly toward the floating platform. His eyes didn't challenge. They evaluated. Then, without a sound, he turned and walked calmly into the jungle. An hour passed. Then 2. The jungle swallowed sound. Distant howls echoed from creatures unknown. Trees with thick, serpentine roots loomed above, each branch a potential snare. Acidic vines pulsed against bark, hissing when disturbed. The silent man moved through it all like smoke. No crunch of leaf. No snap of twig. He knelt once beside a pile of moss-covered debris, old tech buried under growth. His fingers brushed aside leaves, revealing the shattered hull of a Terran recon pod. Scorch marks. Burned edges. A claw embedded in the armor. He noted it silently. Moved on. Far above, in the hunter's viewing chamber, Varkesh examined footage from the drones. One by one, the other prisoners were being tracked. The feline Zanari had stumbled into a spiked pit. The Aska had been cornered and dispatched with a precision bolt. The Krillians fled together, chittering. One was already bleeding out from a stray dart. Only the human remained untouched. "How does he keep vanishing?" Varkesh demanded. "He's not avoiding the drones. He's using them," said a young noble, pale and squinting at the displays. "He predicts their routes. Stays just ahead. Impossible. That would require training. Or instinct." Varkesh's jaw tightened. A new feed flickered on. One of the Krillians screamed, their body yanked upward. Limbs flailed, then went still. The drone circled but found no enemy. "Play that again," Varkesh ordered. The image looped. Frame by frame. There, a blur behind the foliage. A silhouette just before the Krillian vanished. Human. By the stars, he's hunting, the noble whispered. No, Varkesh said coldly. He's baiting. Back in the jungle, Marcus crouched beneath a fallen tree, watching the second Krillian panic and bolt toward the west ridge. He hadn't killed the first one out of malice. He needed a diversion. The Krillian scream had drawn a scouting drone away from its pattern. Now the gap in coverage would last just under 20 seconds. Enough time to cross the ridge without being seen. He moved fast. As he ascended the slope, moonlight illuminated the side of his neck, the mark visible now, a black fawn coiled in ash-gray ink. Old. Worn. But unmistakable. Not just a symbol. A warning. Back on the hover platform, a noble paused mid-drink. His eyes locked on the paused video frame. That mark, he said, voice low. It's not tribal. No. It's Ashen Fawn. Terran Black Ops. Erased 50 cycles ago. Ghost stories. Varkesh scoffed. I saw it once. On a corpse at the Battle of Sangrevi. Half our fleet burned before their operatives were even spotted. Are you saying? I'm saying, he's not prey. Varkesh turned away from the screen, face drawn. Below, deep in the jungle, Marcus Kale set his traps and waited. Not for escape. But for visitors. The jungle shifted as dawn crept over Carrick's 9. Thin light filtered through fog-drenched leaves, casting long shadows over twisted roots and predator nests. Somewhere in the canopy, a creature shrieked, a sharp, wet sound quickly silenced. Marcus knelt by a stream, eyes scanning the rippling surface as he dipped fingers into the water. The temperature drop meant the northern edge of the hunting zone was close. Cold air funneled from the high ridges where observation drones rarely hovered. He cleaned a jagged bone knife, Krillian made, looted from the corpse he'd dragged into the underbrush hours earlier. Its edge was serrated like a shark's jaw. Crude, but serviceable. Behind him, leaves rustled. He didn't turn. You followed me, he said flatly. The child-sized alien, thin limbs, greenish skin, bulbous eyes, froze mid-step. The creature stared, nervous but not retreating. Marcus glanced back. Zechary, he muttered, recognizing the species. Genetically engineered for clerical labor, the Zechary were pacifists by design, rarely seen outside menial sectors. Their kind didn't last long on Carrick's 9. You should have run, Marcus said. The Zechary trembled but took a step forward. In its hands, a ragged piece of torn cloth, white with a crimson stripe. Human military insignia. Marcus's jaw tightened. He took it, turned it over, and traced the frayed edge. Where? He asked. The Zechary pointed southward, toward the gorge. Show me. 2 hours later, Marcus stood at the lip of a gaping chasm. Deep below, rusting wreckage jutted from the jungle floor, what remained of a Terran dropship. The hull was split in two, its rear end buried beneath vines. Marcus descended quickly, hands finding handholds in bark and stone. The Zechary stayed above, watching from behind a tree, legs shaking. Inside the wreckage, Marcus found the remains of 5 humans. Combat uniforms. No dog tags. All burned beyond recognition. He crouched beside one, brushing ash away from a metal forearm plate. His reflection blinked back at him, tired eyes, unshaven face, jaw clenched. Then he saw it. A jagged scorch mark cut across the chest armor, a crude glyph burned into the plating. Alien language. Zeruan script. Trophy. His grip tightened. Far above, in the hunter's command chamber, Lord Varkesh reviewed drone telemetry. The silent prisoner was moving again, south this time, toward terrain infested with native predators. He's circling us, said Commander Thull. Drawing a perimeter. He's not fleeing, Varkesh said, fingers tapping against the railing. He's planning something. Do we engage? No. Let him move. I want to see his endgame. The holographic screen pulsed. One drone's feed went black. Varkesh leaned closer. Which unit was that? Drone 9 Gamma. Monitoring the western rise. Last visual? A freeze frame flickered to life. Marcus crouched beside a tree, eyes on the camera. One hand raised. 2 fingers. Then static. He's watching us, Varkesh growled. Back in the jungle, Marcus pulled apart a tangle of roots, revealing the buried nose cone of a Terran recon pod. He cleared the debris, yanked open the access panel, and tapped the emergency relay port with the hilt of his knife. The screen flickered. Dead. No power. But the internal battery might still hold a charge. He worked quickly, slicing wires, rerouting circuits, bypassing security. A dim blue glow pulsed from the console. He held his breath. The interface blinked twice. Ashen relay link, inactive. Insert unit code. Marcus pressed his thumb against the bioreader. It scanned. A pause. Then, code recognized Kale, M. Operative designation, Ash F-47. A string of old memories surfaced. Field training in zero-gravity chambers, ops briefings whispered in the dark, the last stand at Galen Ridge where his unit vanished in nuclear fire. He exhaled slowly. Status: single operative detected. Signal relay partial boot. Awaiting activation pulse. He reached up and peeled the fabric away from his neck. The mark wasn't just ink. It was a subdermal transmitter etched into flesh, ashen fawn tech, embedded during induction. He pressed 2 fingers against it. A sharp jolt ran down his spine. Pulse sent. On the orbital edge of the system, a dormant satellite came to life. Its AI blinked awake for the first time in 63 years. It scanned, pinged, then locked onto the ancient code. Ashen signal, active. Status: 1 survivor. Protocol: observe and archive. Somewhere, deep in Terran encrypted space, a file unlocked. Back on Carrick's 9, Marcus sat beneath a dead tree and closed his eyes for a moment. The pulse wouldn't bring a fleet. It wouldn't even bring help. But it would send truth, proof of the games, the hunts, the trophies. The galaxy had forgotten Earth's brutality. Forgotten that humans, when cornered, stopped being prey. They became something worse. Footsteps crackled nearby. Marcus opened his eyes. 3 hunters emerged from the shadows, Zeruan elites in scaled armor, cloaked, blades drawn. They hadn't used drones this time. They wanted sport. The one in front tilted his head. No screaming? Marcus didn't move. You understand us? Another hissed. You speak, yes? He stood, tossing a small metal disc onto the ground. The hunters looked down. The disc blinked. One reached for it. Too late. A concussive blast erupted, hurling them backward. Marcus moved through the smoke like a shadow, knife slashing. One went down gurgling. The second swung wild, met air. The third raised a weapon. And Marcus was on him, twisting the blade free and driving it through the hunter's chest. Silence returned. Marcus dragged the corpses into the underbrush, smeared blood over tree trunks and animal patterns, and left the scene deliberately chaotic. Confusion was camouflaged. He turned to leave, then froze. The Zechary child was watching from the edge of the clearing. Marcus walked past him, slow and silent. You are not like the others, the Zechary said, voice trembling. Marcus didn't answer. He didn't have to. The mark on his neck burned again, faintly. A warning was coming. He was just the first spark. The jungle slept in unease. Mist curled low to the ground like a shroud. Branches above swayed in silence, not from wind, but absence. The usual sounds, chirps, howls, clicks, were gone. Predators sensed something unnatural had entered their territory and retreated. Marcus crouched at the edge of a ravine, watching the glow of a hunter patrol moving through the lower valley. Their suits shimmered in the dark, light-bending cloaks flickering as they scanned the undergrowth. There were 4 this time. He didn't need to count. He knew the spacing, the gaps, the rhythm of their movement. They were Zeruan Prime Guard, elites. Not the usual thrill-seekers. He expected them. He'd been expecting worse. 30 meters behind him, the Zachary sat cross-legged under a drooping canopy, clutching a metal shard Marcus had handed him, a shaped bit of wreckage honed to an edge. A child's weapon. Useless in real combat, but enough to give him purpose. Something to hold that felt like survival. You said they won't find you, the Zachary whispered. I said they wouldn't return, Marcus corrected, eyes still fixed on the valley. What if they send more? They will. A pause. You're not afraid? No. Because you've killed more? Marcus gave a half-nod. No, he said again, quieter this time. Because I've survived worse. 13 years ago. Earth. Galen Ridge. Snow howled sideways as 3 Ashen Fong operatives scaled the cliff, bodies wrapped in reactive camo that shifted with light and temperature. Marcus was younger then, but not soft. War had stripped that away early. Below, the crater still burned, what was left of the town of Vendra. Hundreds dead. No survivors. Except one. He stood beside the girl, 8 years old, bloodied, unblinking. Her fingers wrapped around his belt, refusing to let go. Extraction teams 5 clicks out, Kale said, eyes never leaving the burning ruins. Enemy air support circling. ETA unknown. Orders? Asked his team leader, Dax. Marcus glanced at the girl, then at the faint, trembling signal ping on his HUD. He gave one. Split. Send the girl. I stay. You'll die. No, Marcus replied. They will. Now. Ravine edge. A low-frequency pulse rippled through the ground. Marcus pressed his hand to the dirt. Seismic sensor. Motion detection. The hunters were deploying smart mines, trip-triggered, heat-sensitive. He smirked. Finally. He reached into his satchel and removed the black cylinder he'd scavenged from the recon pod, ancient Ashen tech, repurposed as a signal disruptor. He rigged it to a curved branch, tapped 2 wires together, and tossed a scavenged power cell beside it. The device flickered blue, then green. 20 seconds. He backed off, counting down in silence. On 21, the jungle trembled, 3 mines detonated prematurely. Screams followed. Not long. Then silence. He stood. In the viewing chamber high above, Lord Varkesh leaned over the holoscreen. What the hell just happened? He barked. Trap activation. Internal breach, replied Commander Thull, cycling through feeds. The mines weren't triggered. They were detonated. Impossible. Is he carrying counter-tech? No record of it. A noble behind them whispered. He's not escaping. He's studying us. Varkesh snarled, hands tightening. How many dead? 6 hunters. 3 drones. Damage spread across grid section 12B. Varkesh didn't speak. His gaze remained fixed on the image of a lone figure moving through smoke, untouched, unhurried. Send the razor claws, he muttered. The razor claws were not hunters. They were purgers, elites used to clean mistakes. They didn't announce themselves. They dropped silently into the canopy, motionless for half a minute, then fanned out without a word. Their armor was black crystal mesh, absorbing all light. Their blades vibrated at frequencies that could cut bone before nerves registered pain. Marcus knew them. He'd once trained beside a man who killed 3. That man had died doing it. He didn't run. He led them in. The terrain narrowed into a gully lined with petrified roots and unstable rock. Marcus stepped across a narrow shelf above a drop. He knew how they'd flank, 2 from above, 1 from behind, 1 ahead. The lead razorclaw moved first, diving low, fast. Marcus dropped, swung upward with a hidden blade of his own, catching the creature's side and twisting. A shriek short. Dead. He didn't wait. The second dropped behind him. Marcus rolled, kicked out the support from a weakened root, and sent the enemy crashing into a spiked pit he'd seeded days earlier. Third razorclaw tackled from the left. Marcus caught the strike, redirected the momentum into a wall, then pinned him under falling rock. The last didn't engage. Instead, it paused at the edge, watching. Its voice, raspy, filtered, buzzed through. You are Ashen Fong. Marcus stepped closer. I am. The Razorclaw hissed, lowering its blade a fraction. I fought one. Once. Years ago. Then you know how this ends. The enemy backed off slowly, vanishing into shadow. Marcus let him go. Fear spreads better than blood. Night fell. By a small fire hidden under reflective netting, Marcus sat with the Zekari. The child hadn't spoken in hours. Finally. You could have killed him! Yes. Why didn't you? He'll talk. To who? To the ones who matter. The Zekari looked at him, eyes wide. There are more of you. Marcus didn't answer. He tapped the sigil on his neck, the pulse still glowing faint beneath skin. Far above them, another dormant satellite turned toward Carrick's 9. It blinked once. A second time. A whisper of ancient code activated. Varkesh Droth paced the glass floor of the command platform, his claws clicking with each step. Outside, the jungle stretched in eerie silence, broken only by the flickering of emergency feeds and static-laced comms. 12 hunters lost. 3 drones offline. 1 Razorclaw missing. 1 retreating. 1 human, still unaccounted for. He's dismantling our hunt, Commander Thull said, voice flat. No, Varkesh snarled. He's rewriting it. He turned to the remaining nobles. Initiate Directive 9. Full mobilization. I'll enter the field myself. They stiffened. My lord, that's not protocol. I am the protocol. Marcus stood atop the high ridge overlooking Sector 13, the site of the original drop. Beneath his boots, ash covered the leaves. Not from fire, but from crushed flare powder, spread by hand, camouflage for movement, misdirection, and signaling. He counted the seconds. The bait was set. Far below, a transport glider descended, silent until it touched soil. It was ceremonial, Varkesh's personal rig. Marcus knew it by the polished gold etching across its hull and the distinct triangle-shaped exhaust pattern that left no mist behind. They were coming. All of them. And that was the point. He moved quickly through the undergrowth, guiding the Zekari to a hollow beneath the roots of a collapsed tree. You stay, Marcus said. No noise. No movement. No matter what you hear. The Zekari grabbed his sleeve, eyes wide. You'll die. Not today! Marcus placed a fragment of a broken visor in the child's hand. If you hear silence too long, you run. Varkesh emerged from the glider wearing segmented armor, black with crimson streaks. A plasma scythe rested across his back, and a trophy chain hung from one arm. Dozens of tags, bones, and trinkets taken from prey over the years. He stepped onto the soil with measured arrogance, surrounded by 6 remaining guild hunters, each armed to the teeth. The jungle whispered around them. He watches, one said. Let him, Varkesh growled. They advanced into the trees. Trip 1. A silent snap of a vine, and the lead scout vanished into a pit, impaled on sharpened metal poles welded from drone debris. Trip 2. A low-frequency vibration triggered a frequency bomb, scrambling 3 comms units and frying their vision trackers. Trip 3. A fake distress beacon echoed through the trees, drawing the remaining hunters toward a clearing laced with thermite powder disguised under moss. Marcus struck the igniter from 50 yards out. A wall of flame erupted. Screams followed. Then silence. Varkesh emerged, armor scorched, cloak torn, eyes blazing. He stood alone now. And Marcus stepped from the trees, no longer hiding. They faced each other in the ash-streaked clearing. No words exchanged. None needed. Varkesh drew his scythe. Marcus tightened his grip on a forged glaive, a weapon cobbled from scrap and memory. Then they charged. Steel met plasma. Varkesh swung wide, Marcus ducked, twisted, countered with a strike to the ribs. Sparks flew. The noble staggered, adjusted, slashed back with raw fury. A grazing hit caught Marcus's shoulder, burning flesh through fabric. He didn't stop. He drove forward, parried a blow, spun inside the arc, and slammed the butt of the glaive into Varkesh's jaw. The noble reeled. You kill for applause, Marcus said coldly. I kill for silence. Varkesh roared, lunging. They crashed against the slope, blades clashing in a storm of sparks. Varkesh struck hard, once, twice, forcing Marcus backward. The ground shifted beneath them, loose gravel slipping toward the ravine. One misstep. Varkesh's foot slid. Marcus dropped, swept the leg, and both men tumbled down the incline, rolling through dirt and shattered brush. They landed hard. Marcus rose first. Blood ran down his arm, but his eyes stayed fixed. Varkesh stumbled up, breathing ragged. You think you win? He hissed. I'm not here to win. Varkesh laughed. Then what? Marcus nodded toward the sky. The noble's platform hovered above, recording everything. You were the spectacle, Marcus said. Varkesh turned, saw the feed lights still glowing, broadcasting live. You exposed yourself. Marcus stepped forward. I exposed you. The fight ended fast. Marcus lunged low, catching the inside of Varkesh's thigh with the glaive's serrated edge. The noble cried out, staggering. Another blow to the shoulder knocked him down. Marcus straddled him, pressing the blade against his neck. I should end you. Varkesh grinned through blood. Then do it. No. Marcus leaned close. You'll live with it. He drove the hilt into Varkesh's temple, hard enough to knock him unconscious, but not kill. Then he turned to the drone above and nodded. Let them see. Let them all see. By the time the retrieval team arrived, Varkesh lay bound in the dirt. Marcus was gone. All that remained was a scorched trail and a single phrase etched into the bark of a nearby tree. The hunted remembers. High above the system, in a secure Terran satellite, a beacon pulsed 3 times. Encrypted. Undeniable. Ashen fawn. Confirmed active. Smoke drifted through the canopy. Not from fire, but exhaust, the hum of retrieval ships, the scent of power cores in hover mode. The sky above Carrick's 9 flickered with descending craft, and for the first time in decades, the hunting grounds were silent. No laughter. No applause. Only eyes, millions of them, across dozens of star systems, watching the playback in horror. The noble class had always known. The council had suspected. But none had ever seen the games in full clarity. Until now. Marcus had made sure of that. In the hollow beneath the fallen tree, the Zechary blinked at the light creeping through the roots. The forest trembled under the weight of incoming ships. Marcus had told him to stay until the silence broke. It had broken. He crawled out slowly, clutching the broken visor Marcus had left in his palm. The clearing beyond was empty now, no plasma scorches, no bodies. Just a phrase carved deep into the soil. True survives. The child ran. Marcus walked alone through the northern ridge, moving away from the chaos he'd orchestrated. His shoulder ached with every step, and dried blood clung to his fingers. He hadn't rested. Not yet. In his hand was a small transmitter, ashen-made, jury-rigged from the pod's remains. It blinked once every 10 seconds. Each pulse was a data burst, relaying footage, logs, tags, and the last words of the hunted. He didn't look back. He'd buried the bodies himself. Not all of them had been human. But all had screamed the same. Now their silence spoke louder. On the orbital broadcast deck of Zeruan Prime Network, chaos unfolded. This feed is verified, the technician stammered. Uplink matches Hunting Guild's satellite grid. No splice. No forgery. Council Envoy Velra, a 6-eyed dignitary in bone-white robes, turned to the projection hovering above the console. The footage was paused. Marcus stood over Varkesh's unconscious body, blade in hand, eyes calm. This was aired? To all outer territories. We've tried blackouts, failed. Every major system has mirrors up. And the man? Gone. The envoy frowned. Not gone, she whispered. Awakened. Marcus reached the ridge's end and stared at the sky. Dull stars blinked between bands of orange mist. He sat beneath an ancient tree with roots like bones and pulled a strip of cloth from his pack. Wrapped in it were dog tags. Not his. He rolled each one between his fingers. Dax. Mira. Chun. Thorn. He paused. Lisa. Each name was spoken like a promise. He tied the tags together, looped them onto the lowest branch, and stepped back. The wind blew. Metal clinked softly. Back on the planet's central spire, the guild tribunal assembled. Varkesh, bruised and bound, stood at the center, stripped of regalia. No hunter dared speak in his defense. Every screen in the chamber repeated the same moments: cries for mercy, games turned to murder, the silent man standing with blood on his face and fire in his eyes. The hunt is over, Envoy Velred declared. Effective immediately. But we... You didn't entertain. You exterminated. Gasps echoed across the room. She gestured to the live drone feed still tracking Sector 14. Marcus wasn't hiding. He stood in the open now, alone, staring into the lens. Unblinking. Velra pointed. That's not prey. That's legacy. Aboard a Terran black site carrier drifting near the Oort belt, a proximity alert sounded. Signal detected, the AI voice announced. Source? Classified. Matching Ashen encryption string, Kale, Marcus. Confirmed operative. Active status. Captain Archoy adjusted her jacket and leaned over the comms panel. After all this time, she muttered. He survived. Marcus moved into the treeline once more. Above him, emergency drop pods descended. Not hunters. Medics. Investigators. Journalists. The jungle would be crawling with them soon. He didn't care. His mission wasn't to destroy the guild. It was to expose it. And he had. Hours later, in the ruins of the central arena, the Zechary child stood before a broadcast crew. He spoke clearly, his voice small but unshaken. He didn't speak much. But he watched. He knew every trap, every step. And he saved you? He saved everyone. A pause. Do you know his name? The child nodded. Marcus. But the mark on his neck, they said it meant something. The camera zoomed in on the crude symbol etched into a fallen branch. A black fawn over a field of ash. Ashen fawn. The galaxy had forgotten that name. Now it whispered it again. Marcus stopped at the edge of a riverbank. A recovery ship hovered nearby, searchlights scouring the area. He didn't step into the light. He knelt by the water, washed the blood from his arms, and stared at his reflection. Worn. Haunted. Alive. He activated his comm link. Kale to Shadowline, he said. A crackle answered. Receiving. Operation complete. Target neutralized. Payload transmitted. Status? He looked up. Mission expanding. In the far reaches of Terran space, a signal lit up dozens of dormant stations. Redacted files opened. Old operatives stirred. Ashen insignias once hidden began to resurface. A code blinked across black screens. Ash wakes. Pray no more. Back on Carrick's 9, the jungle slowly regrew. But its silence would never return. It had spoken, through Marcus Kale. Through blood, flame, and memory. And the galaxy had listened.